It's no surprise that Google is authoritarian on its practice. It's no surprise that Google has caved into the demands of the social justice crowds when their demands are absolutely ridiculous. I did a video a while back about Google's massive projection in which they basically had this diversity check software that allows you to check whether or not people are in a certain race or gender in films, just to make sure that all of them are represented equally. But hilariously, or tragically, depending on your viewpoint, at the same time, they themselves are having troubles with sexism, racism, and discrimination. And now Google is in full desperation mode. YouTube decided to do that thing of diversity and creators have changed video, which I also did in response because they had the balls to use Indonesians as tokens to show people, hey, we are diverse. Indonesian YouTubers show that we have diversity, but God help them if they have horrendous opinions like, don't discriminate based on religion. I haven't even mentioned their pathetic attempts on putting videos in Purgatory, which everybody has done videos about it, so I won't reiterate the same points that they talked about. Now let's talk about the anti-diversity manifesto that went viral on Google by an anonymous employee. It isn't really so much anti-diversity and more pro-diversity of ideas. And even then, nowhere in that paper suggests that we should remove non-white people or women. Hell, let me read some of the horrendous ideas that this paper suggests. There are biological differences between men and women. Both the viewpoints of the left and the right are necessary for a functioning society. Men have a higher drive towards high social status compared to women, therefore allowing them to have higher positions. Google has its own gender and racial bias. Stop alienating conservatives. Stop restricting programs and classes to certain genders or race. Have an open and honest discussion about the costs and benefits of diversity programs. And the most monstrous of all, treat people as individuals. Oh my God! Wow, what a horrible person. Despite this document being approved by scientists, let's beat the living shit out of him. Or better yet, let's fire him. Which, to nobody's surprise, Google absolutely did. The reason? He perpetuated a harmful gender stereotype.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Google, look in the goddamn mirror, okay? Don't accuse people of being racist while you yourself are being racist. Don't accuse people of being sexist while you yourself are being sexist. This is projection to an infinite degree. It's causing a goddamn black hole. Well, should I really be surprised by these people, especially when they once suggested that facts do not matter? Now, the reason why Google and so many other companies do these diversity programs is simple. They're simply afraid of being called racist, sexist, or homophobic. The reason people are throwing these accusations out left and right is because they think that calling those things hold power. But thanks to these people using it so many times, about as late as 2014, being called a racist has about the same power as being called a doodlehead. And now that there are laws that make sure that people who are called racist don't get away with it, thanks to hate speech laws that couldn't define what is and isn't hate speech, we're not only going to screw our ideological diversity, but also our freedom to think and speak for ourselves. And the worst part, we're also going to screw the freedom to be creative even in the works of fiction. So all of you people who want to run away from reality just for a moment and go into fantasy, try to find those that won't shove politics in your face. Just recently there was this great article about the toxic young adult novel fandoms, which I highly recommend you to read. There was a book called The Black Witch, which is basically a book about prejudice and racism. One reviewer made a 9,000 words of review basically saying, this book has characters being racist, therefore it's racist. Which is like saying The Godfather is a terrible movie because the characters did terrible things in it. And lo and behold, after sharing this knee-jerk review on Twitter, which she bravely protects herself, people on Tumblr decided to storm the reviews of this book with 1 star on the basis that this book is about prejudice, therefore it's racist. Why am I talking about that? I want to illustrate you guys that people are going to misinterpret the most innocuous things and make it to be the most sinister thing of all. If a book about characters being prejudiced as a part of a story is a racist book, then a memo suggesting the biological difference between men and women can be sexist. There was that time where To Kill a Mockingbird and Huckleberry Finn banned for being racist, and the basis was that the characters in the book said the N-word. These people's eyes and minds are warped. They cannot comprehend simple concepts like fictional representation is not endorsement, or men and women are different. They have been brainwashed. We need to find out who the hell brainwashed these people and try to make sure that no other people are brainwashed again, which is apparently working for some. And if you don't believe me about the brainwash part, here, let me show you some tweets and reactions to the diversity memo. Guys, imagine waking up to a viral piece of writing saying you're genetically unsuited for the job you love. That's not what the memo said. The memo said that, on average, women are less interested in tech. That does not mean you're not fit for the job, you goddamn liars. He was committing violence. People felt afraid. People had to take days off. People feared for their safety. These are all real things that happen. This isn't a free speech issue. This is workplace safety. Suggesting the idea that we should have an open conversation about diversity is committing violence. Seriously, what is wrong with you?
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
The Moore argued in the company memo that women are genetically inferior to men, yet his female colleagues are supposed to deal with that? Wow. Do you guys see why he's fired now? Because people misinterpret the innocuous things that he said as something so sinister. It's the same thing that happened with PewDiePie, and that was a huge mistake of going towards PewDiePie. A big mistake. Man, every woman I work with should be fired. Holy shit, stop right there. So far, the interpretations that people have with that memo is, he's committing violence, he said that women are genetically inferior, and now he said that every woman I work with should be fired. How freaking brainwashed are you? Why can't you understand what he's trying to say? Why can't you interpret his words correctly? And this dude, who I remember once said that fandom and fan culture are so important because that's how young people think, a rather scary statement when you look at the Steven Universe fandom, he decided to strawman the living shit out of the memo and make it like the worst thing imaginable. Again, read the memo, link in the description. It's the most innocuous, harmless thing that are approved by scientists and data. We can all prove that together if we want to have an honest conversation about this. And if people just stop strawmanning this person's argument and paints him like he's a monster, this entire thing would not happen. But then again, this is Google we're talking about. Thankfully, the guy who wrote the memo is smart enough to explore all possible legal remedies. There are more and more Google employees speaking out about this knowing that the paper pops up. And if more employees from big corporations that put these diversity checks speak out and gets fired, a lot of websites like GabAi and even WikiLeaks are interested to hire you guys. The thing is, Google, I agree that discrimination in tech is wrong, which is why you should stop doing it yourself. If you keep on doing it, Google, and not limiting yourself to discrimination, but also to people who have different opinions, stating the facts and reality of the situation, while also highlighting criticisms of his own towards your company, there will be a rebellion. People don't like to be silenced, whether it be on the right to speak on their opinions or the right to express their creativity. And you know what? I think the writer of this piece, James Damore, is going to be the beginning of some form of a revolution. Soon enough, there will be more and more employees from companies with these diversity hires speaking out against these authoritarian practices, and since there are more and more people who are tired of this, the support is getting larger and larger. Would Google revitalize and change into something better? Or would they be replaced by something else? We may never know. And before we end this video, huge thanks to the large numbers of people who just supported me on Patreon, with Cody Mikado, Way Too Sexy, Guilty Weeb, Khalid Jackrabbit, Objective Ergomanic, Determined Lad, and Darren Lawrence Dizenganup Jr. You guys are fantastic. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead, click like button, and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can support me on Patreon. And thanks for watching.